Charlene Bailey.
Good morning. How are you?
I am fine. At Skating PJ here with Charlene Bailey. We're missing Mazen Thomas. Sunday morning, he's got stuff to go. Stuff to do, not stuff to
You know
go.
what? He's with us in spirit. Maz, hello. You are here with us.
Exactly. He's always here with us. So, this is kind of a cool show today that we're doing. It is a bit of a retrospective about this guy. We're talking about Taller Cranston. You
Mhm.
know what? There isn't a person out there. He's kind of like Cher. All you have to do is say taller. You don't even need to say his last name. And
It's
people
true.
know exactly who we're talking about. Believe it or not, it was 7 years ago this week, Nationals week. We were all in Kingston. I mean, everybody was in Kingston. And we were watching the national championships. A new men's champion was going to be crowned. Like it was just going to be fantastic.
Hmm.
And it was at that time, as we were getting ready for the men's free program, that we found out that Toller had passed away. I cannot tell you the shock. So we found out about it. Basically, I did through CBC, through my producer, Karen Sebesta, who was monitoring, of all people, Jeannie Becker's feed. And Jeannie announced it on Twitter. Um, the TSN producer, hi, Jamie, came and said, "Did you hear this?" So I immediately phoned Karen and said, "What?" So, and then, it was just like everybody scurrying like rats off a ship trying to figure out their source. I phoned Mexico.
Hmm.
I phoned Edmonton, where Toller had a relationship with gallery owner to try and get it confirmed one way or the other. And we all made sort of a
Hmm.
secret pact that, not even that secret, that whoever found out first and could confirm it would let all of the other journalists know, because
Hmm.
we were all going to be writing our own story. So it wasn't like we were going to be writing the same story, but we just needed to know. And it was just a wild moment. And had he died the day later on the
Hmm.
Monday when everybody was leaving Canadians, it wouldn't have had the same emotional impact that it did on that day. So it was
Well,
almost as if some kind of divine intervention so that we were all together as a skating family and he was there
hmm.
too. So in spirit. So I'm
And
really
if I'm
excited
not
about
mistaken, they announced it at Nationals, if I'm not mistaken, because that was the first one that I had come back to. And
okay.
I believe something was said at the event.
I
And
think so
that was
too.
the first Nationals that I had returned to, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like what have I done?" I came back and what have I really done here? So, yeah, I remember the entire audience was just hush.
Well, it
Kind of
was
one of
just
those
such,
moments, right?
you know what, and I'll wait for our guest to sort of reveal another kind of interesting story, is the Patrick Chan story from that event, and also Taller Cranston story from when I interviewed him for my book, but also when I did a podcast with him in 2013 from Worlds. So our guests today are Philippa Barron, who is Taller's sister, and Haig Unjin, who is a European bronze medalist, three-time national British champion, and I think probably Taller's best friend. So they're going to talk about the Taller Cranston Memorial Fund that was created. We had in 2021 in Ontario 3 recipients of this award, which goes to the novice and junior level. But more about that a little bit later. What we've got to talk about first is we have to talk about what? Skate Ontario news. So let's get into Skate Ontario news a little bit.
Hmm.
One is that we have so far 2 Ontario champions from the national championships, the senior nationals, Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier, and Kirsten Moore Towers and Michael Marinero. Congratulations to both. I don't think as of 10 o'clock this Sunday morning that the Olympic team has been named, but no doubt they will be going. Just to recap, we have one woman. And Maddie Skeesis. Sorry,
And
3
Maddie
Ontario
Skeesis.
champions.
Mhm.
We have one woman, 2 pairs, 2 men, and 3 dance teams who will be going to the Olympic Games in China. So congratulations to everybody. It has been just a treat to watch you online. And our buddy Asher Hill from our show on Friday, he was doing commentary for the free dance, and it's just fantastic. Okay, one more quick bit of news. Skate Ontario has something called the Opportunity Series. And in the Opportunity Series, where I'm trying to find the photo right now, there's a calendar of all kinds of events. Some of them have filled up. They cost $10 a piece. if you want information. And there is that woman, Siri. Honestly, she's never quiet. But for the information on the Opportunity Series, go to skateontario.org/opportunities-series. So let's just get rid of this. And you know what? I think we should just get into this. What do you
I think we should too. Yep.
Right. Let's
leave
just
it. You know what?
it.
I feel like I'm at Sunday service today, so let's just dive in.
So
Let's
we're
do
going to
it.
be talking
This
a
is
lot about
important.
the Tyler Cranston Memorial Fund. It was established shortly after his passing in 2015, and it was set up as a way to show appreciation for the artistry that he brought to the world of figure skating and to financially assist young skaters who possess the same artistic values and style as Toller did. The award winners have the attributes that made Toller great, and these next gen skaters embody exactly what is needed to carry on the legacy. So in 2021, Corey Cercelli, Natalie D'Alessandro, and Corey. Okay, let's start again. In 2021, yes, Corey Cercelli, Natalie D'Alessandro, and partner Bruce Waddle were recipients of this award. And we're going to get a chance to talk to Philippa and Haig about it. So let me just give you a bit of background on Haig. He, two-time Olympian, competed at the World Championships, was also at the European Championships, where his best finish was third in 1971, a national three-time champion. And as he said, he makes his world and his life in sports. But figure skating is where we're at today. So without further ado, I would really like to welcome Philippa. How are you?
Welcome.
It's so good to see you.
Hi, PJ. Hi, Charlene.
Hi.
Hello.
And hi. So good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us, both of you.
Pleasure. You do know it's having dinner shortly, but here in Europe. So it's great to be with you.
May I just say, he says here in Europe as if he could be in a cold place. He just got out of the pool from a swim. So, you know, we hate him a little bit, but we love him. I have a picture to start with, and Haig, I'm going to get you to please comment on it. Talk to me about this moment. You're on the left, Ellen Burka in the middle, and Toller Cranston on the right. This looks like it may have been Maple Leaf Gardens, but I'm not sure. Can you talk to me about that?
Absolutely. It's old Maple Leaf Gardens. I retired in 72, and I think it's 74. As I retired, so I was back at university and studying. I came back to Toronto. Toller said, "Oh God, bring your skates." And so we went out, and Ellen gave me a lesson. And one of the things I did in my career was I landed a triple Lutz and was in the Guinness Book of World Records. And so she said, "Well, come on," and I did it. And then we were pointing at the point where I landed, and I stood up, sit down. So
and on one foot. On one foot.
1 foot.
Yep. Attaboy. Attaboy. Do you know what we love firsts here at 3 Turn 3? And in fact, we were talking about, I don't know if you saw this, but Yuzuru Hanyu is pretty darn close to landing a clean on 1 foot quad axle. Okay, Philippa, we're not going to bore you with skating talk too much longer. But Haig, what do you think about a quad axle?
Now, is this a female or a male?
Male. Two-time Olympic champion Yuzuru Hanyu.
Listen, obviously, we push the idea in sport is to push the barriers, push the frontiers.
Yep.
The problem has been a lot of injuries are coming forward. As you know, football, we have a lot of knee problems and hips. And in ice figure skating, free skating, now we don't do figures anymore. It's become a huge issue. And pushing the body to do these things, I mean, I get it. It's there to be done. I did the triple Lutz. Everyone thought it was impossible, except Don Jackson did one, so why couldn't I? And yes, we should recognize it, but my God, the beating on the body. Anyhow, we'll speak a little later about why Toller and I decided to create the foundation that we have. And this is probably one of the reasons, actually.
So, Philippa, I need to ask you, I was talking a little bit about that fateful day when I was in Kingston. Where were you when you heard that Toller had passed away?
I was here. I live just outside Ottawa. I was here, not really an active super follower of championships all those years after Toller had retired. But I got a phone call or an email from someone, and I had a friend who I knew was at the competition, so I texted her to see if she knows anything, and she did. It was horrifying.
Absolutely.
I think
Hi.
the news, Toller died, actually had a massive heart attack and fell in his studio in Mexico, where he lived for 23 years. The coroner said that he literally was dead before he hit the ground, but he wasn't actually discovered horribly until the 24th of January. So the news, nobody knew until about noon Canada time on the 24th of January, which is so everything just blew up in Mexico, in Canada, around the world, in Kingston, everywhere, almost at the same time. It was a pretty stunning couple of hours for the world news.
Yeah, it sure was. Hi, you and Toller were friends basically from the time you were kids. Can you define that friendship for us?
Oh yes, I mean we were both training. I think we were either 9 or 10. I lived in Canada. I was born in England and brought up in Canada when I was 11. And we were at Countermont World skating. I was with Marcus Nickinen, and he was with his coach, whose name escapes me at the moment. Um, and we were the same age, and all these girls around, and we just became buddies. We were, I don't know, we had a great time. One day, one of the girls at the boarding house we were in was in distress from the window because a toy poodle, had got out downstairs and she couldn't get out. So Tom and I took our skates off, went to the rain, and distracted the dog to get her out. Being very triumphant, we marched back in the rain, very triumphant that she would say we were our heroes, to find our two coaches waiting for us saying we're banned for the day for taking time off from our bigger patches. Bigger patches, God's sake. We saved the damsel in distress. So that was the beginning of our great relationship. And intellectually, he was a highly stimulating personality. And we just got on like a house on fire. He had a very British sense of humor.
You know what? Here's a great comment, and this is what we were hoping for: is that people to sort of bring their own memories. So Doris Winslow, I knew Toller when we were just kids, skated with him at the Lachine Arena and the town of Mount Royal. We would count how many Russian splits he could do in a row.
That's nice.
That's it.
Does that ring a bell?
More or less the same time I was there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And here's another great comment. Funny Dog is one of our regulars. What stands out most about Toller is how he skated from within. A powerful gift that even the best coaches in the world cannot teach. He took ownership and did it his way, unapologetically. And, you know, it's kind of what we're going to be talking about with the Toller Cranston Memorial Fund. It's that inner, like I remember seeing, E. Pagliacci when I was a kid, and certainly not understanding the music. As I said, I was young, but man, it just grabbed you. All of this stuff just grabbed you. And even now, looking at programs on YouTube, it just sort of grabs you in that emotional way. Philip, Toller must have been kind of an emotional person growing up with you. So what was that like?
Uh, of course, he's very dramatic. He always was,
Yes.
from the time he was very little. But we had a incredibly normal middle-class upbringing. I would like to say that it was unusual and bizarre and crazy, but it really wasn't. It was about as ordinary and middle class as it could come, with a really extraordinary child. So he was incredibly acrobatic, incredibly athletic, incredibly adventurous, and very, very dramatic. And we always, from the time both of us were very young, I'm 3 years older, we would have shows, we would make shows, and I was usually the announcer with the name Gloria Plutz, which was bizarre, and I'm never sure where that came from. And he would do interpretive dances with shawls and scarves and so on, and the parents would all be assembled to watch these things. So there was always a dramatic flair, but I give my parents credit, my mother in particular, or both, for keeping us just really pretty unpretentious and very, very, very normal. We were expected to do our chores. We were expected to go to school. We were expected to do well and do our studies. And of course, Toller always had the most time and money and effort. But I would say, and I've said for years and years, I don't know how my mother did it, or my dad, our dad, but we were never made to feel lesser. Toller got what he needed to get to go where he had to go, and the rest of us were happy to be there as supporters, and never ever felt the slightest smidgen of resentment. So it's kind of remarkable. But was he that? Yeah, he was unusual, but in a very normal kind of family.
Charlene.
I'm giggling because you know what? When you said normal, I'm listening, and I think the most normal thing is that growing up with siblings, that you're doing, skits or shows. I think Asher Hill had mentioned that he would do competitions in a bedroom with his sisters, and one would be the announcer, and they would prance around. So I think it just made me giggle that someone so incredible, come from such humble beginnings, and we all did that as kids. So I think it was, he had mentioned I've been looking at lots of video, obviously, because I wasn't around when he was at the peak of his skating. And Toller had said that it wasn't just a performance of the body, but it was of the mind, and he wanted to explore that. And I just found that so captivating. And I think it comes from those beginnings, Philippa. That's so cool.
I got to tell you guys that when I was talking to Patrick Chan 7 years ago, when I first said to him that it had been confirmed that Toller had died, Patrick looked crestfallen. And he has often spoken about the fact that Toller was a huge influence on him and on his career. And funny enough, when I interviewed Toller and talked about Patrick Chan, Toller said in his dramatic way that if he'd had to compete against Patrick Chan, he would have thrown away his skates. So, hi, tell me what you think about that.
Well, first of all, Philippa, you didn't do honor to this question. Please tell them about you taking Toller to ballet class and what happened and why he was late.
Well, we were living in Northern Ontario in Kirkland Lake at the time. My dad was in the mining business. Toller was maybe 6 or so, and I would have been 8 or 9. And he wanted to go to do ballet. I didn't particularly care, but he did. And we were taken to a ballet studio, which was in the basement of the Fireman's Hall in Kirkland Lake, Ontario. It's a sort of unlikely place, both the Kirkland Lake part and the fire station part, for a ballet class. But I remember we got these wonderful little black, shiny, soft ballet shoes, which I always thought were fabulous, and only got to wear one time, because Toller discovered in lesson 1, class 1, that boys did not get to wear point shoes, and boys were not able to twirl, and boys were not able to dance to the music. And that was the end of our ballet for both of us. And at that point, we switched to figure skating, and really the rest is history.
Truly it is.
Doesn't that, in a way, encapsulate everything you want to know about Toller?
Pretty much does. So what do you think about that kind of competitive spirit, though, that Toller had? As I said, he said that if he'd had to compete against Patrick Chan, he would have thrown away his skates.
Well, I think you need to understand, Hyde knows this, and I know this, but Toller never said an entirely black and white truthful thing in his entire life. He would make a point. And so there was some truthiness to what he said about Patrick, which was that he admired Patrick tremendously, and I know very well that he did. But if Toller had to compete against Patrick Chan, he would have found a way to beat him. He would have found a way to out-interpret him, or out-dramatic him, or out-slide on the ice in the most ridiculous pose that Patrick could never have done. So he would have taken that competition as far as it could possibly go. He most definitely would not have thrown away his skates for anybody.
I was going to go ahead, Heike.
So just a couple of things I think is really significant about Toller's life. And first of all, he always said to all of us when we were in the dressing rooms, when we were preparing world tour, touring around the world, whatever, he always said, because drama was first for Toller. You understand? Drama was first. So first was just always start your program with a real arrival, and always finish your program with an absolute triumph. And he also said to me, he said, that's how I'm going to die. I'm going to go out in a triumph. And you said the day he died was the day of the men's long program. And they projected his image on the ice. And I sat there in San Miguel because I had to fly it right away. And I thought, you old dog, you're up there and you did it. You left in a flurry. No one will ever forget him, right?
Yep. That's what we got.
Hyde should just talk about the dramatic flair that he added to the end of Toller's funeral service in San Miguel, Mexico, because that was pretty extraordinary. I'll just set the scene. It was in the Gringo section of the cemetery in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, which is pretty staid. The Mexican section is very exuberant and crazy, over the top, wonderful. The Gringo section, everybody's tombstone was exactly the same. A lot of expats passed away in San Miguel, and a lot didn't have family to mourn them. But in this case, a lot of Toller's Canadian friends who winter in San Miguel were there, utterly devastated, just completely torn apart by this dreadful, dreadful, shocking, unexpected news. I cannot imagine the extraordinary miracle of having Haig actually in Mexico at that time to see his friend off. Gave a most moving and extraordinary eulogy that had the entire assembled crowd, which was in the grounds of the cemetery, outside with lots of flowers and a mariachi band. It was quite remarkable. But Haig, perhaps you could tell them how you completed your eulogy.
Those who attended the testimonial that we had from in Toronto, we followed the same process. Look, Toller was theatre. And if you understood that theatre, that was the most important thing in his life, was theatre. And of course, he can't go without a standing ovation. I mean, this is Toller, right? I've known him all my life since I was 9 years old. And I mean, I don't know if you know this, but Toller has short legs. If you meet him in real life, he has very short legs. But put skates on him, and Robin Cousins and I look at each other, he looks absolutely perfect on the ice. We look slightly clumsy because we've got regular legs. So Toller would try to outwalk me. He would start competing with me in San Miguel. I said, what are you doing? He said, well, you keep up with me. Told you've got little legs. You can't go as fast as I can. So at the end of the day, he was always competitive, with always a sense of humor. And I wanted to do 3 cheers that he came on the stage. I'm going to visualize him arriving in the cemetery. There he is floating across us. Please give him a round of applause. Let's give him 3 cheers and send him on to as he exits stage left, to the next theatre he's going to go on to. And it was a wonderful way to express our recognition and respect.
You know what? That's perfect. I have to say, and I've said this to Philippa before, the word that I would use for Toller, and he was really kind to me as a little kid. So he had this sort of soft spot at different times for people, for all of his brashness and ballsiness and whatever. He's what I would call the ultimate rascal. You think he's one thing, but he's actually something else. And I also always detected a bit of a shy streak. So I thought that all of this bravado, all of this, reactive shenanigans was really to counteract what I felt intuitively as a real shy streak. And it's funny, when I interviewed him for my book, we had a couple of really quite magical conversations, me in Toronto, he in Mexico, and I felt like a garage door had risen, and I was able to look at everything inside. And then I had to call him again for a quote or to check on something, and the garage door didn't come up, and it was a very different experience. But when that garage door was open and you could see of all the things that had been collected, it was really a magical conversation. But do you think it's a fair assessment to talk about him as part rascal and part shy guy?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And theater, always. But yes, as I say, I mean, we grew up in the pretty ordinary. And the ordinary part was always there. So, yeah. And these pictures are quite wonderful because as he was getting older, he really didn't like at all having his face photographed. So most of the photographs of him after the age of 55 or so are usually like the one on the horse here, where he didn't really show his face. He was shy.
It was, and I think in some ways he was the first figure skating superstar. There had been lots of people who had been famous, but he was somebody, and I think it was because of his art that he completely, it wasn't just about the skating, it was about everything. And he had a legion of followers who, some of them were, shall I say, unusual. There's a good word.
I would think they would be unusual, but he also had a legion of followers that were incredibly usual. People
Yes.
just absolutely loved him and admired him, and the unusual ones saw themselves in Toller, and the usual ones saw what they wished they could be or what they might be in Toller. It was pretty extraordinary, and I'm very lucky working on a couple of books about my brother because he was a brilliant skater, but he considered himself an artist. Period. End of discussion. An artist in everything he did, and he was. So he was an artist in the studio. He was an artist on ice. He was an artist in his life. He was an artist with how he spoke and how he created his environment. And in fact, on his tombstone in Mexico, I put only taller artists, not Cranston, not April 20th, 1949, just taller artist, 1949 to 2015. Zero Tolerance, which is on his tombstone, which is the title of one of his books, and it just meant that he wouldn't compromise. He wouldn't accept the mediocre. He wouldn't, and it was difficult for him as a young skater artist on the ice, obviously, because battling. I mean, in those days, if you can even imagine, I could talk about this much better than me. 60% marked for figures, which were not televised, and it was a way for the skating establishment. Toller's figures, I would maintain, were never that terrible. Not so terrible that fifth or sixth after figures. But it was a way to keep this extraordinarily flamboyant, out of the box talent kind of suppressed, because for years and years he was clawing his way back, trying to get to the podium. It was awful. Anyway, I would defer to Heike or all of you skating people much more than me. But anyway, all I'm saying was that he never compromised on his vision. He never compromised on what he wanted to do, how he wanted to do it, and he worked harder than anyone in the world has ever worked on every aspect of his life. And it's the hard work, the courage, the creativity that are the criteria for these Toller Awards that are given in his name now, thanks to Heike, that is what I believe he would want to leave as his legacy for young skater. Work hard, work harder, never compromise, never quit.
So, if I could just add, I think the word we're looking for with Toller was flamboyance, right? And there were so many times when we were developing our careers, because remember we were close friends at the age of 10, 11, and then I went back to the UK. The next time we meet in 1968, is it, or 69, at the Saint-Gervais Grand Prix. I was champion of Britain. He was number 3 or number 2 in Canada, and we set off in our battles. But his whole point as he grew as a skater was that he said, we're televised, we're a kind of a star in ice skating. People want to see those stars and recognize them. So we'd wear those beautiful long silver fox coats. Do you remember these ladies? Do you remember seeing him in these? With huge scarves thrown around his neck and a Russian hat on. And he'd stride on in July in Toronto. He said, people will notice me. And they'll say, who's that? And they'll say, oh, that's Toller Cranston, right? And he said, it's great for our sport. People recognize that we are flamboyant and we're creative and we have it's an Olympic sport. So in that respect, I just wanted to add that to you. But Philip is not entirely fair in saying that it was an ordinary background. Your mother was an artist. She was very, very capable, aspiring artist. He was brought up with color. He was brought up with expression, with identity, with shades of the sunlight and daylight. And so Toller was, from a very early age, acquainted with color and shades. And that really dictated a lot of the way he lived his life. I got one story I want to tell you guys, because I want to go to all skaters too, but not just skaters, to parents, everyone. In fact, I just had lunch with a FIFA expert pro, and I gave this as an example about preparation. So in 1975, 76 January, Toller had to win the Canadians to go to the 76 Olympics. He could have gone as number 2. Ronnie Shaver was always knocked with him. Do you all know Ronnie Shaver? Some of you?
Yep,
Shani?
we do, as Canadians. Yep.
Great skater, fantastic skater. Always Toller's number 2. Toller hated him with a passion because he respected him hugely, because he could do every triple, every time, consistently, which meant Toller couldn't make a mistake. He had to win his, whereas Sergei Cheparukin walked through the Russian championship because everyone else fell over. So Toller got very resentful. This particular year was in Vancouver. Some of you can look it up, 75, 76. and canister from the UK. And he went out to do, leading on the figures, and he went out to do the warm-up. And he was wearing black. And Ronnie was wearing his outfit, and Ronnie did a triple and the crowd cheered, and Ronnie did another triple and the crowd cheered, and Toller was mesmerized because this guy was like doing them. And Toller tried the first jump, he froze, tried another jump and he froze, and tried a triple and he fell. And the whole place went, ah, and you felt the energy sucked away. The champion was going to be deposed, right? Warm-ups and nightmares, right? He comes off, Ellen goes, what did I go to do with you? I cannot believe it. What are you doing? All the training, what are you doing? And his eyes were buzzing, like caught in the headlamps of the car. And he went to the changing room, and everyone left to go because he was last to stay. And there was a very simple moment, and we all experienced this in life. Everyone has experienced this, at least once or twice. He looked in the mirror and he said, you're going to be deposed, you're going to lose your title. 6 years of being champion of Canada, you're going to lose your title. You know, you're all of a sudden just said, well, you know what? If I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose fighting. I'm going to lose going out there and doing my thing. Okay. If I'm going to sit here and just give up my title, I might as well go out and just give it all. Who cares? I'm going to fall 6 times, but fall with courage and conviction. So he put on a red flame out there. And when he went to step on the ice, he didn't know who he was. Because he just completely changed. According to him, because the story that we would speak about, he didn't feel his skates touch the ice. He did everything. 5 minutes later, he was standing there, standing ovation. He'd won the title. And to him, that was one of the greatest moments of his life, because he took adversity and turned it into a positive. And that's a lesson for everyone.
That is a lesson for everybody. And you know what else is an important lesson is how we support skaters. And I want to turn the page and go to the Toller Cranston Memorial Fund, established in 2015, and it's for young skaters. So, tell me a little bit about it, and also I want to be able to bring up the it's run under the Canadian Olympic Committee website. To donate, people need to go to this thing URL link. Thank you, Shirley. She's my brain. God bless her. Okay, so Hyde, up to you. Can you tell us a little bit about the fund, please?
So I don't want to draw this out, but it's really important you all understand this. Toller was very disillusioned. But when he finished his amateur career, as you know, there's a book called Alone. It's the story of John Carey. Everyone who follows skating should buy it. It is an outstanding piece of literature, and not that I feature in it, which I do, but it's just an incredible story. And you'll understand in there vignettes about Toller and John Carey, who were two of the great rivals of the particular time. So Toller left skating disillusioned, bruised, and beaten. And he felt he was never understood. People didn't understand what he was trying to do. When he did the Pagliacci, he was after the World Championships in one of the competitions. He did the next day we do those in the top 5 or 6. Well, the Toller wasn't top 6, we got invited because it was so colourful. He started Pagliacci off lying on the ice. And everyone in the IS just said, what on earth is this guy doing? So you've seen, he always lived outside the box. So he would never talk about skating for years and years, and Philippa will tell you, he would never talk about skating. He was ostracized completely from skating. And it took me, as I was part of the 2012 big team, obviously I did a lot of Olympic sports, GP Olympians, Canadian Olympians, etc. And I said, Toller, you don't understand. You're an Olympic athlete. Today, to become an Olympic athlete, you've got to qualify in previous years, and you've got to be top 15, top 20 in the world. I mean, just to be an Olympian is an amazing achievement today. You say, well, you know, nobody cares. And you do. And you're a medalist. But it was a bronze. I didn't win the gold. The gold went to John. He didn't deserve it. I did. Toller, you're not popular. Who deserves it? You were there. You still on the roster. I didn't. I got to 5th. You got the top stuff. What do you want? You can't have everything in life. And look at you. You're a painter, an artist. You just participated in the book of John Carey. And John died. He died at 44. You and I are still alive at 63, 64. And look what you're doing. Prolific work, enjoying it. It's time you got back to being, let skaters express themselves to you, and you expressed your career to them. But you are a skater. No, I'm not. I'm an artist. Okay, fine. We'll leave that. You're a skater artist. Anyhow, in the end, there was a long story, and there was. So, in the end, he called me. Actually, called me in the middle of the night, and my wife took the phone. I said, "Todd, you know the times. I don't care. Give me high. I've got to talk to you." And so I said, "Todd, it's 4 in the morning." He said, "Todd," he said, "Hi. Ask me what I am." I said, "Todd, what are you?" "I am an Olympian." Real conviction. And I said, "Is that all?" He said, "No, I'm a medalist." He said, "Wow, you know, there are very few of those in the world. So congratulations." I said, "Yes. And you know what? Tell me when to go. We'll go to the COC and we'll make the proposal." So that was a big thing. We went in his own lifetime. We went together. We met the chief exec of the COF and the COC. They welcomed him because he's an icon. And I mean, he got the Order of Canada. I think he's the only bronze medalist to get an Order of Canada. Peter Burke won the World Championship, never got an Order of Canada. So there you go. So we went there and he expressed what he wanted. He said, "Hi, and Philippa," he said, "I could never get boots as my feet grew. As my feet would grow, Mum and Dad would say, well, just persevere, we haven't got the money," right? And that happened with a lot of skaters, myself included. "Oh, well, you know, you're growing at such a rate, there's no point buying it now, we'll wait another year." "Another year? You nuts!" My children look at my toes and say, "Dad, what happened to you?" It's okay. So one of the things we want to do, and I'm involved in the sports branding companies, is I'm very proud and very pleased to say that one of the things that Tom and I agreed, every kid that gets selected gets a pair of boots and blades. Brand new, right? That's it. And Charlene, you smile, you know it costs nowadays about between 12 and $1,500.
Can I just say it's from Jerry Skating World for the blades, and it's from the Jackson Skate Company for the skates. They need a bit of a shout out. So thank you to them.
I was going to do, thank you so much, because they've done a fantastic job, and they really make it possible, and I'm very grateful for them. In addition to which, Todd said that there was never enough money for lessons, and you know, these kids are good. Please, let's give them some cash, you know, like real cash to Mum and Dad. You know, not through them to the CFSA, sorry, Skate Canada, but give them cash. So I spoke to Deborah and said, "Do you have a problem?" "No, it's a donation we make. It's a scholarship we give them. It comes to the COF. It has to be used for their skating." And that's what we do. So I'm really thrilled that we did that. And Todd died a year later. But at least no one could ever question that it wasn't Todd who did this, because we went together. And he conveyed exactly what he wanted. For novice and juniors, that's when you need the help. If you're in seniors, you're already on a world-class performance program, or you're part of a performance group. But when you're a kid, you need that support. And it's not about jumps. It's not about technical feats. It's about courage, it's about expression and creativity. Because we lost that in our sport. Since we got the new judging system, you know, I got nothing wrong with the judging system, but we've lost it. As you notice, we opened the program with one axle. I mean, you have to really look closely to see how many revolutions, right?
Yeah.
But if someone steps on the ice and captures your imagination, like Robin Cousin did this huge open axle, huge, floated to the sky, commanding, right? You don't see that anymore. You just see, knock them off, quickly again, right? Transition, knock them off.
I think that there are certain people that still capture our imagination. I'm just going to say Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer. Sorry, but they exactly. So, but I understand exactly what you're talking about. I'd like to have a couple of feel-good comments. Ryan Stevens, who is an amazing historical blogger about figure skating. Thank you so much for doing that, Tessa. Hey, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
One thing that stands out is how much Toller's skating touched casual viewers. His talent was so unique, it captured the attention of Canadians who knew nothing about the sport. He was responsible for bringing so many new fans to skating who probably wouldn't have watched otherwise. Great point. Philippa, any comments about that?
Well, I could go on and on. Hi, Ryan. It's so great to see you. Ryan has been absolutely instrumental in this Toller book. He is the world's authority on figure skating history, and he knows absolutely everything, and he's
Yep.
wonderful. No, there's a chapter in the book of just people, famous, not famous, ordinary people, talking about how Toller touched their lives. And what makes me most thrilled is not oh, I love to watch him skate, but things like he changed my life. He made me believe in myself. He made me not afraid. He made me want to work harder. We this is slightly off topic, but not long ago we live in the country, and a police officer showed up at the door one day. He was just investigating the area, wanted to see where the roads went in this rural part of Eastern Ontario, and he found out that Toller was part of his family, and he said, you know what? I was telling my hockey team just last week, you just need to skate like Toller Cranston with a stick. You need to be fearless. You need to be brave. You need to be courageous. So I'm particularly proud that everybody from hockey players to mums and dads and kids and stuff, and Charlene, I'm gratified that your generation is beginning to look at YouTube videos, because they certainly don't disappoint. But I'm hoping
They don't.
through shows like this and programs like this and work that Ryan's doing in Haig, that we'll be able to keep Toller's name, his presence, his spirit alive. Because for me, the most important thing is that Canada acknowledge that this is a great Canadian, an absolute icon, not just in figure skating, but in every way he lived, being kind, being compassionate, supporting young artists, supporting young people, and working harder than anybody ever thought possible. Because frankly, if you're going to be outrageous and over the top, then you really do need to be the best. And I think he understood that at a very profound level. So he couldn't swan his way through Toronto in July in a full-length Fox coat unless he could deliver the goods, and he did.
Well,
and he did say, with reference to what Haig said just quickly about John Curry, many times, certainly John Curry, the whole losing to John Curry again stuck in his craw very profoundly, but many times he said that it was the best thing that could have happened to him. He spent the next 40 years of his life proving that he should have been gold, proving that he was worth more, proving that he could do better. And he acknowledged that his life spiraled upward, and the creativity that was unleashed as a result of that disappointment really fueled him for the next 30 years of his life.
Here's a great comment from Fraser Lincoln Ormontroyd, who has a YouTube channel. And I love the last sentence, which is, he is not forgotten. So he's got videos on YouTube of Toller. I'm going to put up that link as soon as I figure out where it is. Standing by, because I think that for those of you who don't know Toller, here's where you can go to sort of check him out.
Amazing. And you know what? Even watching the national championships yesterday on the live stream, you know, you watch video, or at least I watch video of Toller, and there is not one moment in a program that I'm not seeing someone who skates now in those performances. So really, he's not forgotten, but he lives on in these skaters, and it's so clear to see, especially with some of the performances last night. And really, you know, even just a testament to the adversity that you know went on at these national championships that these skaters had to you know, skate through, and really rise to the occasion, if you will, is probably a beautiful testament to Toller as well.
Here is another great comment back from Funny Dog. Toller was his idol, and the person who sort of best represented a square peg trying to fit into a round hole. He fit into that category in the confusing teen years, and he definitely grounded him, as he said, without knowing it. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's really beautiful.
You know, and anytime you watch figure skating, and between at least 3 or 4 of us, we watch a lot. Anytime you can watch an entire program and not think about the grocery list, it's a good program. Because every so often, you know, you sort of go, oh, okay, wait a second. Oh, wait. And as a commentator, you know, sometimes you have to say, okay, come on, focus. They're doing something here. So with programs from Toller Cranston, you never had that. There was never a moment to consider my grocery list. So that part is what made things so special. So if people want, and by the way, speaking of special, talking about art, hi, this is the Toller Cranston scarf. I take off the whole thing. I know, it's absolutely gorgeous. It was
beautiful
for sale in the at the World Championships in 2013 in London, Ontario. It's silk. It's one of my favorite accessories. I try and wear it wherever possible, and it's real silk, which means my neck gets hot after a while, but that's okay. It's not about that. But what I was going to say is, you had something to do with this. Can you share that with us?
Wow. Okay. So in 2013, we finally got told to accept that he was a skater and that he's going to acknowledge his status as a skater. So he was very, our relationship, I wish we could have had a double show. He would say, hi, tell me how to behave. You know, sometimes I can keep prattling on about things. I want you to do this, or I want you to do a body language to tell me to stop talking. I said, okay, so Tom, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to be nice to everyone and smile. I said, do I have to? I said, yes. Okay. And be gracious, right? Why? Because we're making these scarves. If you've done the artwork, we're having them produced. You're going to be selling them. Oh, excellent! I'm really happy. Do I get some of the money? Yes, you get some of the money. Good. Okay, great. So we would go there. I said, and where's your fedora hat? Oh, I left it in Mexico. We'll go and buy one. You've got to walk with your fedora hat because people know you with your fedora. You've got to be the image. Come on. You know, people go, oh my God, that's Tommy Cranston. And you're smiling and you're nice to everyone. And if you don't think of anything but a skater say, oh my God, you're terrific. I love the way you interpret the music. So, but I never saw them just say that. Remember, I was the president, right? And I was on the ISU and all that sort of stuff. So he was wonderful. And he signed all these scarves. He sat down doing intervals, signing them. We were told we couldn't continue because too many people queued up. And Tola would talk to everyone. So Tola stopped talking. Every time you don't sign, you don't make money. Oh, right, okay. Hello, smart. So he was very colourful. You said, have I been a good boy today? I've been a very good boy today, right? You know, because he was the official artist of the 2013 World Championships. And those scarves are very rare. I think we have about 30 or 40 or 50 remaining, which I'd like to sell. To sell on behalf of donations to the trust, because I really want the Toll Awards to survive. Hopefully, we're going to speak with Elijah Baldi, who I think very much captures Philippa and I both feel that he's there's a DNA in there, right? And he's a modern Toller, back some of all those flips and things.
Yep.
I mean, he is, and we'd love it to continue through someone like Elijah, who's an amazing personality. We're so delighted to have him in the world of ice skating, not just Canada. But you know, I just think that Toller's work and what Toller offered the world, and I do want to occupy this, but remember, I created a secondary school you can call high schools, state schools, sports schools, building, because you just imagine living in Toronto trying to skate, you know, and you want to go to cricket club, but you live out in East York. Got all across Toronto. I mean, we have it in football in England and London. It's a nightmare. So I got the government to give me a state school, which you call a public school, which I got a lot of money to rebuild, and I put boarding in it so kids could stay during the week to board. And what I just want to convey to all skaters and all parents, you don't go into sport to be a winner. You go into sport to improve, to prove that you have, and skating gives you expression. Football doesn't give you that much expression, right? Table tennis doesn't give you an expression. I do all Olympic sports. Figure skating is amazing. It allows you to be just that little special who you are, the USP, that unique selling point. What you learn from being an athlete, and Charlene, you can see you as a coach understanding this rule. What you learn from being an athlete, picking yourself up. I don't care if you do competitive or you go the standard route, the test route, or you compete at novice or you don't compete at novice. You learn a quality of a discipline, self-discipline. You learn respect. You learn values which will carry you through life. And Tola and I say this with Tola's voice, don't feel that you have to win and that your whole career has been a waste because I didn't win nationals or I didn't get to qualify for nationals. You left an imprint of yourself, but that imprint stays in you. And when you're in a tough moment, it's like the middle of your damn program or the beginning, and you've missed your opening jump, and you're lying flat on your back, and you have to scurry up, and you know you can't do anything. It's over, right? Our sport, you make one mistake, you're dead. But you got to keep going. That's about life. And I tell you,
that is the good thing.
I think that's why the Toller Awards Haig and I are so incredibly proud of the cooperation with Skate Canada and the Olympic Foundation, because we've had Taller Award scholarship winners who have finished 5th and 6th and 7th at nationals in junior or novice, but they did it with such pizzazz and such courage and such fearlessness that they were very, very worthy of a Taller Award. So we're hopeful that the coaches will take a look at these and understand that the qualities of expression, courage, and creativity that Taller stood for, that certainly Elijah embodies in every gram of his being, that those things are important. And the more, I would love to see a battle at the highest level between a landed quadruple axel and somebody who made you not think about the grocery list for 5 minutes. That would be kind of interesting. So I think we're moving in that direction, and I think it should give hope and strength to the skaters, because like Haig said, it's not all about the winning, and but it is about being fearless, and it is about carrying on, and it is about working harder. And who could ever criticize those qualities?
I think it's also about presenting your authentic self.
Yes.
So I hate using those words, but honestly, like Elijah, again, another skater that I've known since he was a kid. He was somebody who desperately thought that he wanted to go to the Olympic Games in Sochi. I mean, he's got a Russian mother and a West African father. So he really wanted to go in 2014, didn't make the cut, was devastated by it. But then because of that, ended up going to West Africa to meet his grandfather, who was 99 years old and was waiting for Elijah's dad and Elijah to make the trek. So he did things that he couldn't have done had he made that Olympic team. So when you think about the stories that happened as a result of, and I think that that's really what's important. Well, okay, to wrap things up, I need a comment from everybody on just a quick Taller snippet, a Taller memory. If Taller was listening right now, he probably is. What would you like him to know? Charlene, I'm going to start with you.
I'm glad you did. I think I feel very honored to have been on today's episode, because not only were, I think, PJ, we've talked in the past about how skaters today are the apples that come from the same tree. We've all kind of come from that same tree, and there is a very distinct limb that is Taller that we all, hopefully hail from in some respect. And it was just beautiful to see, especially at the national championships yesterday. So it's been an honor. Thank you for having me, and thank you for sharing your stories.
Okay, Haig, you get to go next because you're not family. You're close to family for Taller, but you're really family.
He's more family than I am, that's for sure.
Right. Okay. Well, first of all, if I'm talking to Taller, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your trust. And thank you for confiding in me. And thank you for being my brother. We had a great competitive career, yet both of us adored each other and always supported each other, even when it became a conflict of who was going to come 5th and who was going to come 6th. However, I can't allow you anymore to get away with the excuse that you don't make the payments and you don't have any electricity to say, I'm an artist. How am I supposed to survive? Enough of that already. You've got to pay your bills when they come in. Don't put them in a vase and pretend they don't exist. When the lights go out, don't phone my wife in the middle of the night and say, get high, I have no electricity. Pay your bills.
Philippa, there's one comment before we go, and that is from Doris, and you're going to get the last word. Thank you so much for doing this presentation. As someone else said, Taller will never be forgotten. Okay, Philippa, your turn.
Well, really just touching on what Charlene said, I, of course, see Taller in so many of the skaters I've been live streaming, and thanks to Skate Canada for doing that. But so I feel like he isn't forgotten. And I'm extremely grateful and extremely proud of what he's managed to accomplish. And he's done it not just through his skating. There are millions of other great, great skaters, probably better jumpers, better spinners than Taller ever was. But there was something about him that touched people all over the world. He passed away 7 years ago. He retired from competitive skating, 40 years ago. He's still probably the name that would be in everybody in the whole world that knows anything about figure skating would be in their top 5 list of names to remember. So I'm extremely proud of that. And my job is to make sure that his legacy in Canada and internationally continues to grow and solidify, and that people will take strength from what he did. Thanks for this opportunity.
Philippa and Haig, I expect to have you back when we announce the 2022 winners, because we're hoping that some of Team Ontario will be on that list, because we are Skate Ontario Presents 3x3. And Philippa, whenever those books come out, we expect you to come back, because we want a bit of an advance go around.
It would be my pleasure. It would be great. And by the way, yesterday we have Kintaller Award winners on 2 podiums yesterday, on the dance and in the pairs. The pairs team that finished second are going off to the Olympics, and one of the men, Corey, is Cercelli, who has been amazing, is just a couple of points off the podium. So I think these awards are really important, and I'm extremely grateful to Haig and to Skate Canada and the Olympic Foundation for continuing this.
We're talking about the pair Evelyn and Trent, Evelyn Walsh and Trent Michaud. That's the pair that you're talking about. And then in ice dance, I think it's Zachary.
That's right.
Marjorie. Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, you're changing lives. That's the really important part. You're changing lives. And if there was ever a thought that could be attributed to Toller, that's that one as well. So this has been 3x3. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you all on Friday. And we don't know exactly yet what that show's going to be about, but we imagine it'll be good. So, hi again, Philippa and Charlene.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, indeed.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.